Hi everybody, I've moved on to producing the wingtip sections. These are different from how the center section was constructed in that the center section was built up using the auxiliary spars, the main spars, the ribs, and then afterwards you did all the covering and sheeting using 1/16 inch balsa wood. For the tips themselves, they're actually built from the bottom up, so you cut and align the sheeting and the wing cap strips and glue them together. And then you produce a whole load of auxiliary spars from 1/16 inch sheet and cut from 3/16 inch strip. And each of those will then align onto the wingtip section, and you start building it up through the ribs and up to the upper surface. I'm building these as I'm going as a pair because I want each to be absolutely identical. So whenever I make a component for this side, I make an absolutely identical one for the other side. So now I've put in the spars and the auxiliary spars on one of the wingtips, and I've left them overhanging here right at the tip as well. I'll cut them off when I put on the final rib. And I've really struggled with these ribs because they actually taper as the wing gets thinner and thinner and thinner towards the wing tip, and they also shorten up as well. This isn't shown on the plan, which just shows the W1, which is the root rib, which is fine for producing T1 because that obviously mates with the inboard section. But for T2, 3, and 4, they actually taper and get much smaller. They're not given on the plans, but thankfully within the manual, they're shown on the die cut patterns plan. So just here you can see there's T2, and you can see its relationship with respect to the other wing ribs. Now, the guys at the Balsa Model Aircraft Builders Association on Facebook have had a look at this, and they've kindly scaled T2, T3, and T4 up for me in the correct proportions. So now I have the exact patterns I need in order to cut out the wingtip ribs from 1/16 inch balsa. So I'll go ahead and do that, and again, thank you guys, great job. So I've now completed making the wing ribs for the wing tip. So that's T2, T3, and T4 have all been made. My next job is to see if I can get the root rib completely aligned so that it takes into account the rise up to the wing tip. Now the plans say that there is a template in order to do this, which would set this at the correct angle. I've never been a big fan of those. What I always prefer to do is actually get the wingtip up at the correct height. So I've created a very basic jig here, which rises the wingtip up by 3¼ inches, which now means that the wingtip itself is at the correct angle. So all I need to do then is set my square and set the root rib so that it's exactly square with the surface. This then means that this rib and the rib on the center wing box will now sit exactly flush, face to face, and I'll get the correct length and height on the wing tip. In order to do this, I've had to add on an extra 80 millimeters onto the end of the wing tip because I have yet not built the wingtip section. So that's just simply tacked on in place using a little bit of super glue, and I'll chop that off then when everything is fixed and glued. I've now completed both of the wingtips, which was a fairly easy job. So I'm just going to move on to the outer wingtip, which is just a basic 1/8 inch shape that needs to be cut to this profile. In order to do that, I've just used some tracing paper and I've traced around the profile itself. I've pinned the tracing paper onto a piece of 1/8 inch balsa, and using these T-pins, I've marked out on the balsa the profile of the wingtip outer. I'll remove all of these pins, take the paper off, and join the dots essentially, and then I can cut to that shape. Then I will make another one exactly the same, but I'll use the balsa that I've just cut as the template for that, so I end up with two identical wingtips. So I've now finished both of the wingtips. I've installed the outer wingtips and their stiffeners in position. So essentially, the wing itself is now complete. The only thing I've left to do is join the wingtips onto the center wing box at the correct angle, and then install the leading edge and shape that to its correct shape. Once I've done that, I will move on to the fuselage, which will be, I believe, quite a big build, and I'm looking forward to that. So thank you for watching.